Welcome Space Travelers to another video from Couch Cube talking about No Man's Sky updates. I do love them. Some of my audience like these. I'm going to talk about what we've got as additions, and some of it's straight up in your face, so it's really cool. I've got some great footage. New enemy types are definitely welcome, new starship types, and being able to access that Interceptor to have it on your fleet is definitely the way forward. Just very quickly, sticking on the audience topic, I put a video out about the endurance update in sort of June, July last year, and I was going to make an entire video about it, but it was my YouTube wow signal. And what I mean by that is I got unbelievable numbers over half a day because YouTube by accident put it on the homepage, and it was a bit devastating. You might think, wow, loads of views, aren't you happy? Well, it's like having a shop store on a street that's dead, and then you walk along a bit and you see that you're on the wrong street. There's a massive main road and thoroughfare full of people interacting with every shop store available. I'm on a back alley, and I make these videos not only because YouTube might make another mistake and accidentally put my content out to the internet, but I also very much love the way this game looks. It's got an incredible photo mode, and journeying around the colors, some of the art direction is outstanding. So it doesn't hurt me too much making the videos, but at the back of my mind I'm thinking maybe there'll be another wow signal. There won't be. Briefly want to touch on the game's looks. No massive mention of any performance increases, but it's still a stellar looking game following those previous patches. Doesn't really need too much of a boost, and all of this footage is in quality mode, which means that they uncap the frame rate. It's so dodgy this. Why can't they just give us some numbers? But basically you go into options. If you lock the frame rate, you're going to be looking at 60 frames per second and 1080. If you unlock it, it then increases that resolution to a number we're not aware of, and the frame rates can go up and down to adjust for the upscale. Yeah, I know, in the options all they've got is capped and uncapped, but when you reverse engineer that, that's it, what it actually is. Some numbers would have been amazing, sure. Looking at some brand new content, this is the new element that they've put in, and you see these like corrupted sentinels flying around. It's all pretty spooky and cool. And in answer to your question, Chalk One, they have injected the new stuff in a way that allows you to see it regardless of kind of what you're doing. So they really want to make sure that you see those cool new ships, some of the cool new enemies, and some of the cool new planet designs early doors. So if you play this game fresh, never seen before from day one, you're going to get all of this new content in the front quarter. How do I know this? Suspiciously, every time they inject something big like a new asset, enemy, ship, planet type, you coincidentally rock up to it extremely quickly. We had that with the endurance stuff and the asteroid belts. All of that shelter edition and the new Sentinel types just appear straight away. And here's the thing. So what you're seeing here is like an undiscovered moon that I had in my system that was like the last planet to go to before I left, and lo and behold, it had all of the brand new corrupted sentinels on it. So I think their algorithm is deliberately generous for people who haven't seen any of the new content that's been arising over these last couple of years, which is great news because you've not got to grind base game before you see anything cool and refreshing. So what's the deal with the new Sentinels? Well, they're highly aggressive if you start mucking around with the area that they occupy, and they have this like swarm mechanism, but you can also approach and get very close to them. I also managed to upgrade to red solar systems. If you're not aware, you have a ranking with how cool planets actually are, or diverse, and it's like white, red, green, and I think there's like a gold or top tier. I'm only one echelon up, but do see huge diversity in the planet ranging and colours, and don't be downtrodden if you're still in that white solar system area. Get that drive upgraded because it's one of the better decisions I made, especially if I want to show you guys cool content about the game. Look at these pinks. I'm also managing to see some increase on the variant with the occupying aliens on the planets themselves. This was becoming laughable after 6 years, but most of it was because they tiered the galaxies and put those low ranking. Hang on, this bit's quite funny. I'm like, I'll cheese him with that giant mushroom. Straight through it, clip straight through it. That's strange. Some of the planetary furniture is only visual, doesn't really give you too much structural integrity, but it's okay because we're here for the visuals and not to climb giant mushrooms. I always watch my footage in quite a lot of detail. Yeah, I don't know either. But this poor random just takes a slug completely to the head. It was a great score, 276. Stuff like that still cheers me up with the game. Talking of random stuff, I don't think I need to explain what this clip's all about. 26 hours I was looking for one of those damn worms. Anomalies. Back to that question. They're bloody everywhere. Every time you space travel or go between planets, you're very likely to come across one. Now, I was damn convinced that this one's really important. Got something to do with the Atlas. I was like, wow, scan it, find out what it's got to say. Sent me a radio signal. I was like, whoa. Turns out I learned the word you in the language of Atlas. I have no idea how that bolsters my case for conquering the universe, but I took it on board anyway. Now, I don't normally do this with No Man's Sky, but I deliberately tried to get it to frame stutter. I want you guys to see how sometimes a very well-populated planet will cause a bit of jerk on camera pan. And you can see it here, it staggers a bit. If we had a frame counter on, I reckon this is dipping between 20 and maybe about 35 frames per second. We do have a damned high resolution though. That cape is starting to wind me up. I will take it off soon. But can you see the smudging on its movement? There's kind of like a double layer on it. Right, let's get to some juicy stuff. I bought a new ship, 7 million. Don't really like it, but it is more maneuverable than my previous ship. Can take a bit more damage. Lo and behold, I get to try it out. That brings me on to something that changed with the Pirates update, which was very cool, and that is getting attacked on a planetary surface. It was amazing. It did feel a little bit scripted. Again, back to that previous question. It was like one of the first things that happened to me straight after that update was put in. So you will see a lot of base attacks going on, even if you're not owning that particular structure. Now, what happens is when there's an attack on a planetary surface, you can't technically land your craft, so you can't get out and fire from the ground. But the creatures or whatever was beefing you on the planet is still susceptible to your spaceship lasers, so you could do massive damage on anything that was going after you. They have removed some of the damage impact on structures, so if you're flying around a planetary surface fighting stuff and you go too close to any planetary structures, be it organic or artificial, you'll clip straight through them and it feels very strange. I'll give you a great working example of that in a second. Just want to perv over the new ship. I do love its design and colour. I haven't seen that variation too much. And we're just chilling here with a load of AI. These could in theory be your online buddies, wingmen, whatever. It's nice to pretend and just fly around and see how really pod racer these other solar powered ships look. I didn't clock that first off. My new ship blatantly has a tighter turning circle as well and is a bit more snappy on that circle button acceleration. It was really good to feel the difference in a craft that you've just purchased for 7 million. Those sort of performance variables were just not available on the early spacecraft when the game came out. Alright, let's get in a fight, and I was wanting to see some of those new corrupt Sentinels intermingle with the standard ones, i.e. uncorrupt versions of those cool quadrupedal things. Not much has changed too much on the escalation front with this, and another thing is that the Sentinels have become a little bit more scarce. I visited quite a few planets that said that they had high Sentinel activity, and they just didn't. I had to go to an aggressive one to get this sort of outcome. This Sentinel stuff is still so good with the shields and the regen guys, everybody having their sort of little task, the bigger ones, the little dog stuff. It's very cool to have some variation on fighting the Sentinel race. It was so mundane when this game first came out, it was almost embarrassing. Things are proper crazy now. So if that alert level gets pushed up enough, they then inject the interceptors that will come in from space. So you're obligated to get into your ship and start dogfighting with them. Here's some of that ground clippage when this situation does come up. I think they'll tighten it. It's just a bit confusing about what you can and can't do, whether you bother interacting with the stuff fighting you on the planetary service or concentrate on getting those interceptors killed. Now let's look at them. Oof, they're beautiful. Very cool. I want to see more variation though. But as a start, this is brilliant. So much better than those triangular standard ones, and they're tough. evil and go for you a lot harder. And that's one of the major incentives for this new update, is to gather that cool new rare material, start putting together your own interceptor, which can then be on your fleet. And that brings us back to the fleet management update, where you can actually call in your wingmen in real time whilst you're flying around. You feel like you're supported, and you've put some of that work into making yourself more badass when patrolling your solar system. I wanted to say thank you very much for coming down my deserted alley and seeing my No Man's Sky content. I don't know how many more updates we're going to have of this magnitude, but I'll keep an eye on things. I've just finished Atomic Heart and I don't know what to do with my life. I have been Couch Coop. I will see you down there.